What's going on, world? My name is Enoch. This is my beautiful brother James in beautiful nature. You are now tuned in to the Blood Brothers podcast. Let's go. Welcome back to the Blood Brothers podcast, everybody. Y'all know how we like to do it before we get going. Let's bow our heads. Father in heaven, thank you for this day. We thank you for this moment. Use us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Ak was good, man. Still out here.
Doing all right. I'm in North Carolina, surviving
Yeah.
in the wilderness. I hunt now. But even when I hunt, I still have the same mission,
Yes, sir.
empowering men
Uh-huh.
to become leaders in society
Mm-hmm.
under God's law. Consequently, men, women, and children will understand what it is to be
Uh-huh.
a real man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
This leadership series, man. I feel like we touching a lot of places, touching different areas, and it's going pretty good. One thing, if you notice, that what I like to do, I'll listen to the episode and I hear something we said, and I say, you know what? Something right there we need to dig in. So in one of the episodes, we talked about loyalty, right?
Facts.
And I was saying a lot of people, they're loyal to someone. And if I say I'm not your friend anymore because something you did, it's like, oh, you're not loyal anymore. But not realizing you broke the loyalty when you disrupted one of the principles of the reason why I'm loyal to you. So this episode, we're going to call this one, what we calling it?
Principles over relationships.
And that's very important when it comes to leadership, because sometimes you may be in a leadership position. You may have a brother, a friend that's under that leadership, and you might have more leeway towards them because of the relationship, and not realizing what they're doing can be detrimental to the direction you're trying to go.
That's very true. Even considering the options of when you're a leader, you're supposed to operate under vision, right? So if you have this vision that you want to accomplish, if you alter or manipulate your integrity according to a relationship, you'll never achieve the vision that you have placed in your mind. Now, remember, in your vision, obviously, it's not going to just be you. There's a lot of people that'll be a part of it. So if that's the case, if, for example, if I'm, y'all heard that?
Yeah, it's probably a hawk or something. I don't know.
Anyway, if for example, if you're a husband and you have a family and your family is expected to conduct themselves a certain way under your authority, right? Just leading as an example for your lifestyle. Now, if you have a friend who doesn't operate under that same principle, but you're saying I'm loyal to them, what you do is you put your family in the principle, mainly the principle of loyalty, above your friend. Now, it goes back to the example what you said, how some people would be like, oh, I'm not your friend no more, whatever, I don't want to talk to you no more. And you'll be like, you're not loyal. No. I am loyal, but I'm strictly loyal to principle.
Exactly.
So I think we should actually get into the importance of being loyal to principles.
Okay.
Let's start it off with the foundations of principles, right?
Okay.
Principles were created to affect a positive or negative change, right? So if you conduct yourself with the right mentality and follow the principle according to the morals, meaning like a moral mentality in a healthy aspect, then the consequence of that is success. Vice versa, if you manipulate it and try to organize it along with a corrupt mentality, then you'll see that the consequence will be 100% negative all the time.
Because loyalty is a principle. So if you can look at somebody and say, you're foul because of what I did, you don't want to be loyal to me anymore, you're kind of messed up in your own head of what loyalty is.
Mm-hmm.
Loyalty is built on principle.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the principles you've built between us,
Mm-hmm.
that's how I become loyal to you. So now if you break a principle, that makes you unloyal. Not me for
True.
not being your friend anymore.
That's true. And it goes back to, let's go a little bit deeper
Mm-hmm.
into, remember, morals are something that's adopted
Mm-hmm.
subconsciously
Yeah.
majority of the time until you actually address what you're learning, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
what you believe. So
Yeah.
the philosophies that you live by. Now, when you're saying principles,
Yeah.
one thing that makes principles consistent is that it's not supposed to change according to the season
Yeah.
or according
Yeah.
to the relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for example, if you're saying, yo, I'm your man, you
Mm-hmm.
cheated on your wife, I'm saying I want nothing to do with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
In actuality, I am loyal.
Yeah.
I'm loyal to the principle,
Yeah.
right? You, as my friend, you don't override the principle, because what happens is when I manipulate the principle according to who you are,
Mm-hmm.
now it actually makes me disloyal,
Yeah.
because now I'm operating under a manipulated mentality.
Mm.
So as a leader, if you're conducting yourself through manipulation,
Yeah.
then ultimately you're really not a leader.
Exactly. And as a leader, you're supposed to be building up everybody else with right principles.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I show that I can adjust my principles to somebody else,
Exactly.
that person is like, oh, I can adjust my principles to somebody else. And then that passes down the line.
Exactly. And it goes back to what we were saying about the generational curses.
Yeah.
See, what happens is a lot of times people adopt philosophies without questioning them. And we talked about this too with culture and how, me personally, I'm anti-culture, right? In the sense of, I'll never just accept things at face value.
Yeah.
So if you just tell me, oh, I do this, I'll say, why do you do it? And then you'll say, I do it because my parents do. Well, why did your parents do it?
Yeah.
And I want to get to the root of it, because at the root of laws, it has to be biblically correct.
Yeah.
Right. So it goes like, let's think about like the Beatitude.
Mm-hmm.
Those are moral implications of how you're supposed to conduct your life.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't change according to me and you being friends.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
You're my friend. So if I'm your friend, you're my friend. That means that you conduct yourself like that. I conduct myself like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that we can trust each other. We don't actually trust each other.
Exactly.
We trust the fact that your principles align and you're loyal to the principle.
Mm-hmm.
So that actually goes into let's talk about the characteristic of principles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or laws, or whatever you want to call it. So laws were produced under an effective leadership, which is God, right?
Yeah.
So when God created things, it was never with the intent of negligence or that type of negative thought process, right? It was, he made everything good.
Yeah.
So with that being said, you have to consider, if you're willing to take one of his principles or his laws and manipulate it to adjust to the society or the people around you, not only are you violating that law, you're violating God, which is ultimately why you're not going to be successful. It's not so much of the law as much as the creator who made it that is really going to question you and go, where did that come from? Right? I didn't say that.
And the minute you start adjusting principles, that leads to everything else.
Oh, yeah.
You start adjusting your character.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You start adjusting your belief. You start adjusting your faith. You start adjusting everything, because if the principle, would you say is a foundation?
Principle is the foundation of mankind.
Yeah. So if the principle is changed and cracked, everything else has to be.
The fruit you bear.
Yeah, the fruit you bear, all of that will fall in line with that. So if I'm following principle, everything else falls in a good way. Now, if I'm changing principle, everything else falls in line with that and not the direction where it's supposed to go.
So all of it basically is repercussions of your actions.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. Like, I know we speak a lot about principle. Let's start specifying specific principles that people can apply to their everyday life. Like, we talk about loyalty a lot, because one thing about loyalty is, what you have to realize is that loyalty builds trustworthiness. The reason why it's so important is because loyalty is actually the foundation of patterns, right? So if I create a pattern in my life that is ineffective, or matter of fact, is immoral, or I'll give it a better one, or you deem it moral yourself without a proper foundation. Like you basically said, I'm doing this because I want to do it.
Yeah.
Even if it goes against what the creator said. Right? So that means you deemed it moral, but he deemed it immoral. Right? So now if you have that clash, automatically you manipulated the principle. So what'll happen is the patterns that you create for yourself will be ineffective on a consistent basis. Because remember, I don't trust words.
Yeah. Yeah.
I barely
Yeah.
trust one action.
Yeah.
I study patterns, and this is me being loyal to patterns. So I'll give y'all an example. Like me and my wife, we had a discussion, and we was all talking, and they're telling me this, and they're telling me that. And it's not that I'm opposed to it, but what I said was, I trust patterns. I study patterns, and I'm loyal to people's patterns. So I'm never gonna violate the principle of loyalty to patterns according to the situation, even if it's my wife. I have to be real with myself. Not saying that you have ill intent for the person, but I have to trust what you showed me.
Yeah. And another example I want to bring, that we was watching the movie that just opened, I was like, wow, this is a perfect example. We was watching Black Panther, right?
Shouts out to my boy,
Rest
man.
in peace. So there's a scene, if you've seen the movie already, where the king, he sent his brother to Earth for a mission as a spy. And the brother had a best friend that was also sent there for a mission, but the brother didn't know. So now the king comes down, and the best friend lets the king know that the mission that he was supposed to do, he wasn't following that. So now we're like, okay, there's a mission, you did not follow it. So now the king is like, you know what? Disciplinary actions must happen now. But the brother didn't feel like that was okay and tried to kill the best friend. But his own brother stepped in front and killed his own brother. Not because he didn't do it just because he was about to shoot his best friend. It was because of the principle of it. You did wrong, and now you're trying to justify it and kill somebody else. But he was here defending the principle and the mission. So I'm gonna defend him, even though you're my blood brother. I'm gonna defend him because I'm loyal to the principle of what the mission was. And he killed his own brother. And that was the perfect example of principles over relationship.
And think about it like this too, even to expand on that, he was a king, which made him a leader.
Yes.
So it was his moral obligation,
that was his duty,
right, to follow the principles of the kingdom.
Yeah.
So you can go into that and think about it like this, right? If everybody altered their morals according to people's relationships, which is a consistent thing.
Yeah.
I honestly speaking, other than, and this is not me being, trying to be facetious or anything like that, but I'm always looked at the bad person because I really follow that.
Yeah.
I really don't bend.
Yeah.
And what happens is you'll start to see, if you start conducting yourself like that, you'll start to see less and less people really wanting to be intimate with you or on that level. It's dangerous, but at the same time, it builds a certain pattern. And what it does is it creates a culture for you that'll attract the right people instead of many people, right? So if people know I conduct myself a certain way, like I'm gonna be honest, none of my friends is bringing to me they cheat on their girl.
Facts.
Nobody's bringing
That's a fact.
Nobody's bringing it.
That's a fact.
So for me, I go, no, none of my friends cheat on their girl. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Because if I was to find out that they did, they wouldn't be my friend anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'm loyal to the principles, not the person. And what that does is that allows people to trust me because they'll go, I might not know anything else about James, but I know he's loyal to principles that are effective. He's never going to put himself in a situation. So ultimately, if he wouldn't put himself in the situation through violation, he's definitely wouldn't do that to me because that's something he lives by. That's a lifestyle. That's a God-given mentality that was earned through trial.
Oh, the crazy thing is too, people might look at that like that's harsh. Your friends don't cheat. If they cheat, you done with them. But look how that can be a good example for others. If I have that standard for my friend and he's like, yo, I can't be out here bugging. If he really loved me and cared for me, he's going to live up to that. And now that translates to other people. That's what leadership is. It's being able to lift somebody up to their higher potential and then that translating to other people that they're around. That's what it really is. It's very simple.
Empowering people to become leaders.
Yeah.
Setting the example through a lifestyle, not just words, not just action, through your patterns, a consistency of patterns. Patterns are so powerful.
Yeah.
I think we should get into another let's get into another principle.
Okay.
Let's talk about hard work. Let's talk about
Yeah,
hard work, right?
yeah.
I like hard work.
Yeah.
So this is the double-edged sword about hard work. People, you can work hard, but work hard at the wrong thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So remember, every principle has a philosophy behind it. So people go, yeah, I work hard, right?
Yeah.
But what are you working hard in?
Exactly.
Right? And then let's even go deeper into it in the sense of, do you manipulate hard work according to the situation? Right? So I work hard at work, but at home I don't work hard to have a healthy home. I work hard to have a good relationship with my friends, but I don't work hard to have a great relationship with my wife.
Yeah.
I work hard in the sense of just general like fitness, right?
Yeah.
But I won't work hard to make sure me and my child have a good relationship. That's manipulation of principle.
Yeah.
You're doing it according to the situation and according to what you deem is right.
Yeah.
But if you live by principle over relationship, or principle pretty much over everything,
Yeah.
right? You're gonna apply hard work to every situation. It's not so much of accountability as much as it is dedication, right? Or it has to be accountability.
Yeah.
It's accountable to that action of hard work. Like I'm not gonna specify it according to the situation. I work hard, period.
Yeah.
Figure that out.
And that's what I talk about, that either you work hard or you're a hard worker.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's either you follow principles or you don't.
True. There's no middle.
Because once you have that leeway, it all goes back to principles. Once I have leeway in principles, that reflects everything. When it comes to hard work, if I decide, yeah, I'm gonna work hard on that. No, I'm not gonna work hard on that. Realizing that affects everything else. If I decide I'm gonna work hard on the gym, I go in every day, but then I go home and I see my wife and my kids. I'm like, whatever. And then I'm over here struggling. Why is my family life not great, but I have a great body? I don't understand. I go in at the gym. My body's great, but for some reason, my family life ain't working. It's because you're only putting that hard work into one area. If you allow that to go into all areas, why am I broke? Why can't I make money? Because you're not focusing and putting that hard work into your future. And that's the same thing with principles. Why I'm always finding a terrible man? Why I'm always finding a bad girlfriend? Because you're not following principles. You're saying, she's pretty, so I know she don't really like to read, or she not really smart up top, but she look good. So you know what? One of my principles is reading and being educated, but she look good, so she was good. And now you're in that relationship and you're like, man, it's the worst relationship I've ever been with, because you leveled your principles in a horrible way.
That's true. And I think one thing about principles is it sets the standard, right? And I think it's important that we address the philosophies of mentality, right? And this is why I say it's important, because remember, morals are just words. Without the right philosophy behind it, then it has a positive or negative, or the right philosophy creates a positive effect. The wrong philosophy creates a negative effect. An example would be, let me see, what's a great example I can think of? The only one I could really think of right now is like, if a guy, if we're friends, right? You're married, cool. You cheat on your wife, and you tell me, or I tell you, man, I know you cheated on your wife, but at the end of the day, that's I'm loyal to you. That don't have nothing to do with that situation, right? Like I'm a ride for you regardless, right? See, the problem with that is, now what I did was I manipulated the principle of loyalty to accommodate your lifestyle. Instead of owning up to saying, no, loyalty is across the board. So if you're not loyal to your wife, it's hard pressed for me to think that you'll be loyal to me, because you don't honor the principle. Now, when I'm speaking about philosophies, the reason why philosophy is so important is because it's the driving force behind the thought patterns or the thoughts that you have. So this is why we say biblical principle, right? Because I'm not the creator. So I'm not going to pretend like I know how things work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to seek the creator who made all of this, right? And dictated to it, because obviously the creator knows the blueprint. Right? So I can't go to the creator and go, hey, I was thinking, I think this works for that.
Yeah.
right? I think orange
Yeah.
juice works for the car
Yeah.
instead of oil,
Exactly.
or instead
Exactly.
of gas. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Why? Because I'm not the creator. So when you start to manipulate principle, ultimately what you do is you actually make yourself an idol subconsciously, because you think you're more important than God.
Yeah.
And that alone is a sin.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
alone will leave you behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
Because you have to remember, if you're saying that I want to live a prosperous life,
Yep.
right? We're part of mankind, right? We didn't create mankind. We're just living in the body, and we're experiencing mankind.
Yep.
Right? So if we never created it, that means that we don't really know how it works, which is why every day is a different day, which is why every situation is a different situation.
Yeah.
But if the creator goes, listen, I created a set of principles for you to follow while you're on earth, and this will bring success into your life.
Yeah.
Who are we to override that?
Let me see this mic right here, right? This mic is built and it has a principle. Let's say this mic could talk, right? And something is malfunctioning with inside of it. The mic would not go to me, the person that did not create this mic, and ask, yo, how do I fix what's going on inside of me? I'm gonna be like, I don't know, I didn't create you. The mic would have to go back to the manufacturer that created them and say, hey, I'm having an issue internally. Can you fix this? Of course they can fix it, because I created it. I know you inside and out. So when you try to go through culture,
I don't even know what kind of
mic. Fine mic. They would have to go to Fine.
Good.
Fine would have to fix this, not Enoch, because I did not create this.
Exactly.
It's impossible for me to fix this if I did not create it. There's something internally going on. I might be able to adjust it and do things like manipulate it, but I cannot ultimately fix it back to its. Matter of fact, my tooth, I had to get a root canal. They had to put a cap on my tooth. They kept trying to shave it down because it would not fit to the original tooth that was there. They didn't create the original tooth. They made a sculpture of it, and it just could not fit right. And even now, it still doesn't fit right, but it's okay for now, because that's the best they could do. Because they can't go back. They can't go back to the creator and say, we need this exact same tooth that you put in his mouth. It's impossible. So with everything, go back to the creator, go back to the original. What am I destined for? What am I supposed to be doing? And that's when you follow principle, and that's when you fall in line with where you're supposed to go.
Principle, I guess the next part of it is, principle is actually a form of safety.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And people might not see it like that, because they'll say, all right, so for example, right, before I get into the full detail, if there's a red light, right, that means stop.
Yeah.
That's a law. Why is that a law? It's put there to protect you, because if you run the red light, the other cars are going to come, car accident.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have to remember, when you align yourself with law, you're actually protecting everyone around you. You're not, it's not, you have to remember, this is one thing that's very important. In the kingdom of God, it is not a democracy, right? This is not a vote. This is not a personal opinion.
Yeah.
This is not a thought process where it's like your opinion really matters. But because we were trained up to think that our opinion matters, then that's why we have such a hard time with, let's say, principles.
Yeah.
Now, remember, if you have free will, the free will was given to you to obey the principles willingly.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That's why you were created, to adopt the philosophy, follow the principles, manifest your gift as a leader, become influential, go back, influence other people to do the exact same patterns that you created, so that they can repeat the same cycle of success. Now, when I say protection, we were talking about people in political, leadership roles, right?
Yeah.
The thing with principle is, it actually protects the people who are looking to you for guidance, or looking for you, right? Because look, if I know that you're a leader, you have a position of power, right? That means that you have influence. What protects you, or which protects me and helps me trust you, is the fact that I know that you follow these set of principles.
Yeah.
Right? It has nothing to do with your personality. It has nothing to do with your charisma. None of that matters. I would prefer you to be just a cork. Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but obey the principles.
Yeah.
Because now I know that for a fact, at the end of the day, if you follow those principles, you're not going to run the red light. You're not going to put yourself in a position to mess
Yeah.
up, to get into a car accident, to
Yeah.
eventually die, right? You're not
Yeah.
putting, the principles give you those standards where you'll go, hold on, before I make this next move,
Yeah.
or before I run that red light,
Yeah.
I'm just going to obey the law, stop, protect everyone around me, and then move forward.
And not make excuses for violating that principle.
Oof.
Ran that red light, and now, like, everybody's like, yo, I mean, I was late, so
I was in a rush.
so, and then they're like, oh, so it's okay to, if you got a situation, you gotta do what you gotta do. It's all right. I mean,
let's actually get into when they call it an accident,
Mm.
right? It was an accident,
Yeah.
but the actual action behind it was a choice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Remember,
Yeah.
principles, when you live by principles, it actually governs your choices.
Huh.
Right? It's a governmental mentality where it's like, listen, I don't need any outside influence to govern me.
Yeah.
I have an internal government.
Uh-huh.
God's spirit internally governs my actions.
Yep.
And people like, seek God. What he's saying is seek his principles of success.
Yeah.
Because look, if I seek him or I seek his principles, naturally his nature will be on me because I'm going to be in the image of him. I follow his principles. His nature is trusting in my body, in my mind. So he goes, cool. He follows the principles. I can trust him. Cool. Let's go do it.
And I think that's why we're not forced to follow principles.
No.
Because when you follow them, you see it for yourself. God's like, yo, watch, this works. Go ahead. I'm not going to force you. Go ahead. Follow the principles.
Free will.
And then you follow the principle, like, this works. So it's like, you know what? I can go to where I need to be and tell people, like, listen, this works. You have a choice to do it. I took the choice to follow these principles. I've said it before. Me and you, we live 2 different lives.
100%.
But we follow the same principles and having the same results. So it's like, that's proof. Principles work.
and this is why, even within principles, you have to check your philosophies behind your principles. Right? And when I say check your philosophy, it goes back to principles over relationships, but it's really just a principle-driven mentality. Yeah. Right? We say relationships because that's actually the hardest thing for people to differentiate. Right? It's hard for people to be like, that's really my friend. I've been his friend for 15 years. I've been for 30 years. Or, that's my dad. Or that's my mom. Yeah. See, I think what happened with me was I made a conscious decision very early in my life that I wasn't going to be like my pops. So what I had to do is identify his flaws and then check myself according to his flaws. Yeah. But what I didn't realize I was doing is I was actually learning principles through his flaws. Yeah. And then I was just applying them the right way. So that way the outcome or the consequences were actually good fruit. It was totally different. So because I think I had such a traumatic experience up front, because I mean, let's be honest, if I can do that with my pops, if I can say you're dead wrong, I really like, I don't have no beef. I just want space. Yeah. If I can do that with him, that's my father. You should be able to do that with anybody. I can do that with anybody. I can do that with anybody. And I don't. And the thing about it is, it's not something that I hide. I make it very known. Yeah. Like, this relationship is not more valuable than the principle that I live by. Yeah. Right. Yeah. If I'm gonna say I'm a kingdom citizen, that means I'm following a set of laws governed by God. It has nothing to do with society, culture, or my friends. I'm not easily manipulated by my environment. Right? So when you live a lifestyle like that, what happens is you're fighting upstream. Right? And see, the thing about it is, what people don't realize, resistance actually builds strength. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So if I'm always fighting upstream, every day I'm just getting stronger and stronger. Running up the hill. I'm always running. Like, when we run up there, I'm always getting stronger and stronger because I don't have to go with the current. I go against the current, knowing that my philosophy is aligned with God. Yeah. And then I'm obeying his principles. Now, obviously, the world, meaning the system, they don't align their principles with him. Yeah. Because if they did on a consistent basis, which reflects the patterns, then we would see a much higher success rate in marriages, friendships, businesses, families, just everything as a whole, because it goes across the board. And that's why we say in the mission statement, empowering men, their rightful place of leaders. Society. We're talking about principles. That's what we're talking about. If men would take principles seriously and follow it correctly,
there wouldn't be a lot of corrupt leaders.
100%.
Like I said, corrupt leaders. They're leaders because people are following them.
Mm-hmm.
And you're leading people astray.
Or title.
Yeah,
or
titles.
have a title.
Put them in. So if you're following principles, I feel like as society, we would be in a better place because if men is taking that position, like in the mission statement, women and children
exactly
will follow that, and we will all be better.
See, the thing about it is, and it's hard. This is gonna be rough, you know, but there are so many followers that claim to be leaders that it's almost blurred to the point where you think that people just everybody's a leader, and that's not true.
Yeah.
Speaking your mind doesn't make you a leader.
Yeah.
Right. That doesn't make you a leader. Right. Just you know, oh, I do my own thing. That doesn't make you a leader.
Yeah.
Like you can, because remember, a leader sets a standard, right? But an effective leader sets a standard according to what God says. So if I'm saying I'm a leader, you don't want to be a tyrant, right?
Exactly.
You don't want to be. You don't want to be a tyrant. You don't want to be a dictator. You want to be
Exactly.
a leader that follows principles that breed successful people around you.
Yeah.
So I'll give an example. Let's say a man, he's his girl. She believes in marriage.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. Right, and he tricks her mind or manipulates her mind into thinking that marriage isn't important. Now, remember, we believe women are leaders too.
Yep.
So if the woman understands the principles of marriage and what comes along with it and understands the importance of it, now you bring a man who doesn't adopt the same philosophy as her and she begins to adopt his philosophy, what's going to happen is you're going to see bad fruit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it goes back to having those standards and not bending according to pressure.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a major component in the having the effective philosophy of a good leader.
Yeah. And I think that summarizes leadership in a whole.
That's true.
Principles. And not just principles, discipline. Because you have to be disciplined to follow those principles. So they go hand in hand, because it's easy for me to say I have a principle, right? But it's harder for me to follow it,
depending on the philosophy you live by.
Yeah. If you're disciplined within your principles, it should be a piece of cake. Like,
hold before you go. Right, when you just said that, it just dawned on me. Right, the philosophies that they live by, or people they live by. What do you think the problem is when you create your own culture to apply those principles to, and you don't govern them by what God says? What do you think is like? What do you think is some violations within that?
It'll always be able to change. It's not a set standard.
Okay, so it's really not a standard.
Yeah, it won't. To you, it might be a standard, but if your standard can change and the principles can change, there's no foundation on there. I can't stand on a piece of wood and then it gets cut in the middle. I'm gonna lose balance. But if it's firm and it's not moving, I'm straight. I'm standing strong. You have to be able to stand strong within your principles. And a way to stand strong in your principles is not wavering. The minute you start doing that, like I said before, that goes down the line of everything in your life and everything that you have going for you.
That's true. And even within that, the reason why I keep speaking about philosophy so much is because philosophy actually creates the content that you think.
Yeah.
Right. And when you speak on thinking in the mind, you have to be very conscious of where your morals stem from. Because I'll say a lot of times people will be like, or let's say a guy who's in a bad mental state. They'll go, you know, my dad was like that. So, you know, that's why I'm like that. And, you know, or I'm still working on myself, or whatever the case is. We're not negating working on yourself. What we're saying is that you're not even taking the moral obligation or accountability to make an effective change. What you're doing is you're perpetuating a generational curse on a consistent basis. And then what you're doing is making excuses behind it and saying, you know, my dad was like that. And
that's why I'm like that.
And then best believe what we were talking about, fruit, guess who's going to pay the price for that? Your wife or your girl, your kids, your friends. Because if I'm your friend, I want the best for you. So if I want the best for you, that means I have to conduct myself in the best or the highest form of moral stand.
Exactly.
Right? And if I don't do that, I'm not really a friend. What I am is a burden.
Yeah. Some people will call that loyal.
they are loyal to. They're loyal to the negativity of what you're bringing.
Exactly.
We always talking about eagles, and you know, one thing about eagles, you realize they're always by themselves.
Yep.
It's rare that you ever see two eagles together.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Or
That's
if you
true.
see, it's very rare.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is the respect that you see when you see two eagles together. You know their vision.
Yep.
Aligns.
Yeah.
They govern by the same principles.
Exactly.
They align themselves with the right way to do things. I've never seen a bird go to flight school. Why? Because the creator put what the bird needs inside of it to become what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But think about it. The bird or the eagle follows the laws of God, because the creator.
Exactly.
Right? And what do?
Yeah.
They soar.
They flap their wings. Just imagine a bird just jumped out the tree and then flap his arms. Like, I'm a bird, I'm supposed to fly.
The bird fly out the tree and start kicking his feet. Start kicking his feet mad. You'll be like, then they just fall. The eagle be up there like, my man, what are you doing? That wasn't. Yeah. The bird can say, what do you mean? That's my principle. I'm governed by that principle. I kick my feet to fly. Right? I kick my feet to fly, and I'm supposed to go up because I think that's right.
I think that's right. It makes sense to me.
It makes sense, right?
Makes sense to me.
It's the same thing when you see mankind or you see men or women violate principles, or not even say violate. I don't even want to call it. Manipulate principles according to what they deem is right.
I wonder why it didn't work.
Listen, at the end of the day, you have to consider this. The foundation of mankind has to be governed by God's laws.
Yep.
Why? Because he created it, right? So he made me different, than Enoch different, than our wives. We're all different, right? But what we do is we seek the principles and follow them according to what he says, not what we think is going to happen. Don't put orange juice in the gas tank and expect the car to go.
Period.
You can't do that. Or you can't say milk needs to go into the engine. I need to change my oil. Put the milk in. Yo, why it's not working? Man, this is liquid, right? Liquid should work. No, it's not how it works. There are principles, there are laws, and it all governs society. Meaning people, governments, school systems, everything you can think of was created by law, and the law protects it.
Simple as that. I think ain't nothing else to be said after that.
Listen.
Got anything else? Like,
I mean, if y'all didn't get that, like, I don't, you know. I mean, I'll give him one more. All you gotta do, if you think that you're in control, do me a favor, jump off the cliff and then flap your wings and be like, I think I can fly.
Do the principle of birds. Use that for your principle. See what happens.
You got something for these people?
Man, listen. In life, you don't see trees, you don't see birds. Birds go up and down. We don't.
Facts.
Keep God before anything. Period.
You know, this whole principles of relationship, like I really adopted this philosophy, but I still think that you have to pursue perfection. I still believe that, because even within that, if you pursue perfection, principles go hand in hand with it. Right? So even if you fall short, let's say you're still working on certain principles, but you're making a conscious effort, you're still gonna be excellent. Other than that, y'all enjoy y'all day. We'll see y'all next week. You heard?